Okay. Do you want me to call the meeting to order then?
Okay, we are recording, so you can call it to order.
Okay, I call the meeting to order of the Village of Oxford Downtown Development Authority, Monday, June 15th, 2020. Want to do the Pledge of Allegiance?
I think I got that one.
Yeah, let's do it.
I could have done this. That's how dumb I am.
Oh,
Okay, my
This
kids
is more
do-
fun.
kids- Exactly, exactly. My kids are-
Somebody start the pledge.
I
Okay.
pledge allegiance
To
to
the
the
flag of the
Of
United
the United States of America,
And
to the
to the
republic for which it stands,
for which it
one
stands,
nation under God,
one
indivisible,
nation
with
under
liberty
God,
and justice for all.
just for all.
Thank you.
Amen.
Can I get roll call, please?
Nicole Ellsworth,
Here.
Dorothy Johnson,
Here.
Joe Frost,
Here.
Peter Schultz,
Here.
Laura Herfy,
Here.
Rod Charles,
Here.
Sue Olth,
Here,
and who am I forgetting here? Dora Orlando
here,
and Justin Wilcox.
Welcome, Dora. Thank you. Nice to see you.
Nice to hear you.
Thank you. I should say nice to hear you too also. I could see you last month.
Okay, do we have any public comment on non-agenda items? No public comment? And I think we can move along to the consent agenda then. The approval of proposed agenda.
Take a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved second. All in favor?
aye,
Bye.
Aye.
All opposed? And then do we have the approval of the May 18th regular meeting minutes?
I'll make a motion to receive and file or whatever if there's no changes or corrections, I should say.
Okay, all in favor? Or do we need a second? Sorry,
I'll second.
okay. And then all in favor
Aye.
Aye.
and opposed? All right. And then we have the village reports, the police report, the code enforcement report, and the DPW report.
I'll make a motion that we receive and file those unless somebody's got something they want to say about them.
I'll support.
Okay, it's been moved, supported, and then can we do roll call, please? Or
Don't
is
need
it-
a roll call for
Okay.
that. It's just a voice vote.
Okay, my fault. And then all in favor?
Aye.
aye,
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. And then if we can go to the number 6, which is the financials. The financial statements and revenue expenditure reports.
We just need to receive and file this. Is that? The bills are separate?
Yes, the bills are separate. We just need to receive and file on the financial statements.
Okay.
I will make a comment that we are significantly under our expenditures this year again, so we're going to have another net deposit into our fund balance this year.
I have a question. Is there so we have a fee in here for the concerts in the park, right?
Right.
4,000 books.
Yes,
But are there concerts in the park?
Yes.
starting
Yes.
July.
Okay.
So I'll
This
make a
summer's
Go ahead.
concerts. Oh, no, I was going to just make a comment that this summer's concerts are all on next year's budget.
Okay.
Dorothy, make your motion.
Okay, so if there's no more discussion, I'll make a motion to receive and file those reports.
I'll support that.
Okay, it's been moved, supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
And all opposed? Okay, and then we have the bills for June 2020.
I have a question on that.
Yes, Dorothy?
So my invoice, Glenn, I sent you a private message there. I don't know if you see that off the right of your screen. My invoice didn't show up on this.
The second round of signs, I don't know that I've seen that.
Yes, you replied to me
Ah,
in an email.
then I will have to hunt for that. And as soon as I find it, I'll run a bill run for, I'll run a separate bill for that.
Do you want me to
Uh,
resend it to you now, or what do you?
If you want to send it to me tomorrow, because I'll be turning the bills in tomorrow, and I'll just attach it to that, and it'll go on next month for prepaid.
Okay.
We'll
Hey,
get you
Glenn,
paid.
just quick question on the prepaids, for wages, FICA, et cetera. Everything's showing zero. What's the reasoning behind that?
Well, if you look at the revenue expenditure statement, I didn't get any payroll billed on this month's yet. Part of that is because of our COVID situation, because our bills don't always show up until 30 days or so after, because our accounting folks are only working half to two-thirds time.
Gotcha. Are you still being paid?
Yes,
Okay.
the paychecks are cut, but it doesn't hit the accounting until 2 to 3 weeks after.
Gotcha. Okay.
Good question, Joe. Glenn, to that point, will that show up in this year's budget or next year's budget?
Oh, that'll show up. We'll close this budget out at the end of this month, and we'll bill as necessary to this year well through July. So anything that was encumbered this month will be paid in July.
Mike?
If there's no other questions, I'll make a motion to pay the bills for June 2020 in the amount of $7,015.62.
I'll support that.
Okay, we need roll call, please.
Yes.
Cole Ellsworth,
Yes.
Joe Frost, Dorothy Johnson,
Yes.
Peter Schultz,
Yes.
Laura Herpy,
Sorry, yes, I'm there. Yeah, sorry about that.
Rod Charles,
Yes.
Sue Oltz,
Yes.
Dora Rolando,
Yes.
Justin Wilcock, yes.
And we have our DDA reports, the executive director report.
These next 6 items can either be received and filed, or we can have a discussion if people have questions about what's in the report. But as far as the executive director report, we're still working on getting all of the connections made on the Oakland County stabilization grants. Some folks are more ahead on this process than others, but we're going to get everybody their money by the end of this month.
I have a question, Glenn.
Yes.
I haven't received, everything's in, but I haven't received any kind of correspondence. Should I?
You should have by now. I
That's
will
what I thought.
add you to my list.
Okay, thank you.
Basically, we're handing out reopen kits. We've got 82 kits left to go for both the village and the township. We are handing. If you haven't received one, let me know via email and I'll drop one off. We're also doing pickup for kits tomorrow afternoon as well. As far
Time
as
on that?
MDOT, noon to 4. No, noon to 3.
Noon to 3, thank you.
Yep.
And Glenn, to that point, are you going to be in the office till 3 o'clock on Thursday this week? Doing those kits?
Yes.
I just want to make certain if I tell somebody to stop by that there'll be somebody there. Okay.
Yeah, both Nicole and I will be in the office this week to hand out the signs, the second round of signs, hand out the reopen kits. And
Noon to 3, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Is 3 o'clock the time or 4 o'clock or what?
Typically it's cuts off at 4 o'clock. We tell people 3, but people always run late. So.
Do we have to call you, Glenn? Is the door open?
The door is open if we're in the community room.
Okay.
So when we're doing handouts on signs and kits, the slider is open.
Okay.
I'll try to stop in tomorrow, Glenn.
Okay. We're about ready to get the directional signage for the detour route up. We're waiting on production on those signs. And those will be 8-foot by 3-foot directional arrows with the business name on them. And we're listing all of the businesses in Oxford on those signs. So.
Hey, Glenn, on those signs, is it too late for somebody to be on that list?
Technically no, but I'm pretty certain everybody's on that list because we just put all the businesses on the list.
We didn't, Glenn, just to interject, we didn't put all of the businesses. That was, we hand delivered all of the packets and let the DDA district know that if they wanted to have their business listed, that they needed to turn in the form. So the businesses that are listed were the businesses that turned in the form.
Okay, so the question then is, are we done? Or if somebody says, can I get in the door, is it too late?
I would have to redesign the signs.
Okay, that's fine.
Nicole,
Yes, ma'am.
is Boulevard Boutique and the Michigan store on the sign?
The Boulevard Boutique is.
Is Dora's on?
No.
Okay. All right. Dora will get with you.
Why is that? I don't get it.
Nicole, I'm going to have to get with you too because my clients can't make it to my office and it's frustrating to them as well.
Okay.
How about businesses that are not going to open? That might be on there.
As far as I know, the businesses that, in the packet in the communications report is the images of all of the businesses that are listed.
Is there a reason why Great Lakes Mercantile didn't make the cut?
If the form didn't get turned into the office or I didn't get a direct email, then we didn't add them. We hand delivered all of the paperwork, letting everyone know that they could be added to the sign if that's what they wanted.
Okay. Well, I'd like mine to be on there. I'm not in the store very often, and that's where my computer is.
Okay.
So, unless there's any other questions, looking for a motion to receive and file.
I'll make a motion to receive and file 7A, 7B, 7C, 7D, 7E, and 7F.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
All opposed? Okay, moving on, we have unfinished business. The M24 update, please.
All right, M24. We're now in full detour mode. I expect to be finishing up with the work in the drainer intersection in the next week or two.
Yay. Good.
They're actually ahead of schedule from what they were originally forecasting on this, so they're moving quite along. Pavement milling is all the way to the north end of the village now. They are basically at Harriet cleaning up the rest of that, and then they'll be coming in and saw cutting and removing the sidewalks in through the downtown. So we're looking at one of the things I'm doing is I get the minutes from our weekly meetings with MDOTs. I'm just forwarding them off to you folks for the board. So you'll get those when I get those rather than holding them till a monthly meeting or anything. So there were some issues with some of the videotaping. We reached out again and hopefully have got everybody getting everything done appropriately at this point in time. So that's pretty much it. We got over the weekend, we got a project lengthwise calendar that tells us when we flip over to the other side of the road in mid-August. And we're still on expectation of completing everything by early to mid-November.
Hey, Glenn, a comment about this. The meeting who went to, MDOT said that they would only redo Glassby. Is that still still what they're planning on doing? Because there's people in the community complaining that they're cutting through, with all the traffic cutting down Tanview, Red Barn, Coates Road. Is there any possibility where MDOT does something for those roads?
MDOT is only going to do the official detour route.
And the roads you just referenced are all in the township.
What's that?
The roads, Red Barn, Tanview, those are all in the township, aren't they?
It has nothing to do with, I know it's township, but then part of MDOT project is part of the township too. But I'm just wondering if you've heard anything from MDOT about any complaints about the pass-throughs and things like that.
There's been a couple of people that have contacted me through the website, and I forwarded that information on to MDOT as well as on to CJ in the township.
Okay, good.
So I've been in, I mean, anybody that said, you know, anything through the website or on Facebook to the downtown page, I've communicated with them. We've actually had quite a few people using the contact form on the website. So it's been, you know, good when people have questions.
I have a question.
Yes.
Glenn, are they putting pipe down in front? Is that what they're gonna do next when they cut up all the asphalt?
Are they doing what?
Are they putting pipe down? Great big pipe?
They're working on the storm sewer, the water lines, sanitary sewer.
So that'll all come up through downtown, like the whole way?
Yes, the storm sewer and the sanitary sewer will run through the length of the downtown, through the length of the village.
Okay. And then are you familiar with what's going on out back of our place?
The Comcast work?
Yeah. No change. Week 3?
Explain that, Dorothy. What do you mean?
Oh, you have to experience it. It's
Well, I could speak to that if you want.
Yeah. Yes, please.
So I spoke to Mike Burgess from Comcast last week, and he pointed me to Canon Communications, which you see them north of town doing a lot of work for Comcast in front of Myers and all that. They told us that was proposed to be a 1-week project, and like Dorothy said, week 3, not much has happened in the last 10, 12 days probably. I voiced my disappointment. Not only the progress, but some of the work. The patching out back is unacceptable, along where the boring began. Canon is not happy with their subcontractor, but again, Comcast, it's all rests on Comcast. They're the ones driving this, so I voiced my displeasure to them. They shouldn't have that thing open. There's plenty of space for red naps to travel in and out for their takeout and then now walk-in service. But nevertheless, it shouldn't be looking like that for 3 weeks when we were told it was going to be a 1-week project.
And they spoke really highly of you on Friday, by the way, Joe, and I appreciate you being on top of them because they did say that you check in with them once a week and you're super nice, but you're on them. You know what I mean? And I appreciated hearing that.
Good, thank you.
And I appreciated all that broken concrete disappearing.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
How come I couldn't see Joe when he talked?
Nice work, Joe.
There are several other areas around the village that they will be, proposing and doing work. The one spot behind the 5-1 South building was trenched open. It was cut and trenched last year, or maybe the first of the year in the wintertime, and that stayed just with aggregate in it until they did some patching. So that is finally completed coming across that entrance or exit going out to Denison. And they did that fine, but they're one subcontractor is just not catching up with them very well.
Well, and they are continuing to cut more and more sidewalk.
They were supposed to cut all the way across there.
Okay.
They told us initially they were going to cut out and remove every other flag, and I told them that was unacceptable. I said, did people look at stuff like that, a checkerboard look, and they look at us like, what's wrong with us?
Mm-hmm.
I said, no, that's not going to work. You can take it out all the way across there so it's all uniform. They broke it out intermittently just to get their work done, but the whole entire area has been saw cut across there for removal and replacement.
Okay. Well, it's good to know there's a rhythm to it because some days you look out there and you're just not sure.
I agree.
Hope they're not coming across behind us. No. They're marked, but I don't know anybody that wants that there. We've been fighting that.
Yes.
Thank you again, Joe, for being on that. I appreciate you.
No.
No problem. And this is being driven by customers that they sign up. I think Red Naps is the one in Northeast Quad that has signed up. I think there's a couple, the Ox perhaps, and someone else in the Southwest Quad, that there's still some easements we're working on. I've emailed Bob Davis again today about these easements being proposed to the parking lots from Comcast. We want to get those right before we cut them loose back there. But there will be work in all 4 quads eventually.
Okay.
Hey, Joe.
Yes.
Are they working behind our store and Victoria's and that? Are they going to?
Is this Dora?
Yes.
Okay. I see the phone number on the screen. So nothing back there short term yet now, except for they were going to run an aerial from like the theater up to one of the poles, and that part's been approved. None of the underground has been approved to really, I don't think, go forward down there yet. Like going into the building.
From my understanding, I don't think anybody back there wants that.
Well, whenever we've met with them on site, did walk around, it's being driven by at least one person in the area signing up, so they're getting the service over to the area, and they can always branch off from there. I don't know if it's somebody down by the tap or that neck of the woods. Maybe the I can't remember the name of the building. Glenn does, where Caveman and Pip are. Maybe someone in that building, I think, had signed up as a customer.
That's the Atchison building.
Yes, Atkinson building.
Maybe
There you
that one, but as far as I know, we did not want it, even though there's markings back there, and the store that's on the corner of the marketplace, they are just renting. They don't want it.
go. Yeah.
Cracked.
I don't think
doesn't
we've
want
seen
it.
anything. I don't think you've seen any install area up your neck of the woods yet. It's mostly out in the parking lot, just kind of coming across over to, like, say, 48 South, I believe it is, in that neck of the woods.
Okay.
I'm confused. What is it that you don't want, Dora?
Cable. None of that
Comcast
cable
service.
stuff going through. You know, they just tear up the sidewalk out there for not any reason that I'm aware of. I mean, they came through there and they kept coming back and wanting to know if we were the people that wanted the cable, and I said no. And then I talked to the market people there, and they had no interest in it. And I don't think Cracked has an interest in it, and the party store is gone as far as I know, or is going.
He's indicated that he's not reopening.
I'm sorry?
Alex might have asked about it some time ago, but so you're saying Comcast wants to put cable in. If you don't have Comcast, what are you going to do?
You have Charter already.
We don't have anything. I have AT&T where my computer business is.
Yeah. Well, the cable provider in the area, though, is also Charter through the dental shop for many of them.
But I don't do cable, so.
Right. Okay.
It's marked. The sidewalks are marked, but until they pull a permit for that quadrant, we won't know if they are going in there or not. So.
Okay. Good.
Some of it is design.
Well, I just want, just not to beat up on this small issue. So Dora, the objection is that they would tear up the sidewalk?
Well, if you don't need it, why would you want them, you know, every time somebody tears up our sidewalk, it turns into a disaster.
Well, so trust me,
I'm sorry?
I spent a lot of money on that damn sidewalk.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing, Rod. And when they shut the water through there, that was a total disaster. And the sidewalk and behind my store is like a roller coaster that I'm trying to get fixed this week. So if we're doing backdoor stuff, I don't want people tripping over their feet back there. So hired somebody to come up there.
Any permitting we would do would only be in the public space as well. We don't give them permission to come through the 10 feet or 12 feet or 2 feet even behind a building to get to a building. That is all between them obtaining permission from a building owner or property owner. Obviously, we aren't granting permission to work on private property.
Well, you don't know where the private property is in some cases, right?
It's tough in some areas, no doubt.
I'm serious. I'm not jesting. I know.
No, I agree.
I mean,
I don't think he knows that the guy's leaving.
Hey guys, I'm going to jump in here and just say that we're way off topic, and we should probably get back to the agenda point, which was the M24 update. We start to go into some weird gray area when we start talking about topics that aren't on the agenda legally.
What did he say?
So I'm still waiting for a motion on the M24 update.
I'll set motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second it. Did you say you
Okay,
had?
it's been moved. Yes, please, moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All
Aye.
right.
Never closed.
Okay, and then we have a draft DDA bylaw.
Mr. Frost, I'm going to kick this over to you, and I'm going to pull up the draft bylaws that you sent me.
Sure, thanks, Glenn. So at our last meeting, we discussed amending the bylaws to allow for additional board members and get the bylaws in compliance with the village ordinance. I thought this would show up in red, but you can see the changes. I just did the correct changes in Word The biggest change is here, it changes from 9 to 12 board members. So hold on, let me wait till Glenn gets there. Page 36, Glenn. 36, the PDF page is 36. There's not a page number.
I don't see any page numbers, do you? Bylaws. That else is page 1.
Joe, what section is it?
Section Article 3, Section 1. So
Okay.
keep scrolling down, Glenn.
It's page 2.
Page 2, yep. One, keep going, keep going. I probably should have just shared my screen. There you go, perfect. The biggest change is changing from 9 board members to 12. The village ordinance states that it shall be 12. And then this changes an ex officio member of the township trustee down in section 10. That gets removed, and it puts the charter township of Oxford may recommend 1 member township board. So that puts that township thing into what the township is wanting. It's adamant that they have a township trustee on the DDA. Makes sense, you know, we're overlapping jurisdiction and we do capture some township dollars, so it makes sense. Some of the other changes, there are some grammatical things like 4 years should have a hyphen. And then wherever the Public Act of 1975 was written, the new law that supersedes that Public Act 57 of 2018 is put in there. Other than that, there's not any changes. Glenn took a look at these. Mr. Davis took a look at these. Nicole, you were on these emails, but I did not hear back from you at all. So I was wondering if you had any input from the chairperson's perspective.
No, I just actually have been pretty busy here, so working myself. So I really didn't have time to go through all this, but I did today. And I guess my only question is, didn't we have Elgin was on the board from the township?
Yep.
Okay, and so is this why we're changing it, just to allow somebody from the township on the board?
Yeah, Elgin resigned, and I guess I wasn't aware that I had to appoint somebody from the township. According to the township, I do. I appointed Justin Wilcox, Dora Rolando, and Laura Herfey, and the township was not happy with that because they thought that they, whoever their guy was a shoo-in. The bylaws state that it's an ex officio non-voting member. So what this does is it actually gives them an official seat on the board moving forward. It also brings the bylaws into compliance with the DDA ordinance on the village books, because the ordinance says that there shall be 12 members and not the 9 that we've been operating on. So it actually gives us the ability to put a couple more business owners on there.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, Dorothy.
Glenn, if you can scroll up to the bottom of page 2, which I think is section 3, Article 3, section 10. Joe Ross, can you read that to me? Because my understanding, and I want to see what your understanding of that section 10 by appointment of the DDA, that sentence.
Ex officio members shall serve as non-voting members. The following members are ex officio, village manager, Oxford Chamber of Commerce director, and then Oxford Township trustee. So ex officio was a non-voting member.
Okay. Now that you read that and I see it again, I misread that first title because I thought that applied to you. So I see that now.
Gotcha.
I see that now. That makes it's Joe Medor. I get it now.
Yep, it's Joe Medor. Yep.
Got it.
And I'd really love to get Amy, the chamber director, to our meetings as well. Per these bylaws, the Chamber of Commerce director has a seat at the DDA table. So I've talked to Amy a couple times, and I've reminded her of this, and I'm going to continue the relationship. But the chamber needs to be involved in our efforts, and we should be involved in their efforts. But so this has always been in there, and this will always remain in there. That the Chamber of Commerce director has a seat on the board as well. Again, that's a non-voting board seat, but allow for that collaboration between the two organizations.
Joe, and I don't know if it has to be in the bylaws, but if they live outside of the village, they cannot sit on the board. Is that correct?
Not entirely. The DDA, the state law, says that a majority of the board shall have an interest in the downtown. Interest is defined fairly broadly to mean generally a business owner or a property owner in the downtown. And so, you know, there are property owners, business owners in the downtown who don't live in the village.
Correct.
Who are serving on our board now, and who in the future may serve. If somebody who's living in Lapeer, for example, but they owned a business downtown, they're still eligible.
Correct. So if they live in Waterstone or they live in Oxford Lakes, they could be one of those 12.
Yes, especially if they have interest in the downtown.
Can we put it in the bylaws that anybody who puts in a application that we all get to vote on it?
Well, we could, but then we are going against the state law, which the state law says that it's the village president who appoints those.
Okay, so it's not the board that votes.
That's correct.
And that can't, okay, and so that cannot be part of the bylaws.
Correct. It goes against state law.
Okay.
That's my interpretation of it. If we need clarification from Mr. Davis, we can get that.
I think that'd be a good idea to get clarification from Mr. Davis. I said, I think it'd be a good idea to get clarification from Mr. Davis. And a second point would be the township person. Isn't there somebody now appointed as ex officio from the township?
So the township has appointed Jonathan Nold to the DDA, and he has not officially been seated yet because of this process here. Bill Dunn and I have been in communication about this, and the intent was, if these pass today, which that is still my hope, that this has to go to the village council for ratification, but this and Mr. Nold's official appointment would be at the next regular meeting of village.
Madam Chair, Joe Madore, if I could, please.
Yes.
Pardon me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, a couple of things. To Rod's question, before I mention mine, your board is full right now, according to the bylaws. So you don't have room for Mr. Nold, and what Joe Frost is indicating here, if you change the bylaws, then you'll have space that could accommodate him. But I'm looking at, and this is my email version that Joe sent me, and I don't know if it's the latest version, on Section 2, under Article 3. I'm sorry, Section 1 of Article 3. The board is comprised of 12 members. 9 of the DDA members shall be appointed by the municipality. The charter township may recommend 1, and the remaining member shall be the village president. That's 11 people. Am I missing something?
No, it'd be a total of 13. It'd be 12 members plus the village president.
Okay, but I mean, when it says 9 of the board members shall be appointed by the municipality, then the township.
The 9 should be crossed off, and it should read 12.
Yeah.
Okay. So the board is comprised of 12 members, and then it should say 12.
Oh, hold on. I see what you're saying. There is an error there.
Yeah.
Good eye, Joe.
Is that supposed to be at 13 members and then?
It should be 12. It should say 12.
Okay. So 12 members, and then maybe 10 would be the DDA members appointed by the municipality, and then the charter township, and then the village president would be 12, perhaps.
Right. Shoot. Yeah, that's major. Glenn, you took a look at this too. You.
Okay. One of the first things
I want to make sure it complies with the village ordinance.
In Nina's letter, she references gypsies, and right now that is a big, hard.
Who's talking back there? Somebody needs to mute themselves.
Might be Dorothy. No, that's Nicole, isn't it?
Mhm.
No, I'm silent.
Okay, so I'm looking. It should read 12. It really should read 11, appointed by the municipality, and I'm going to say 12 appointed by the municipality, because that charter township is a recommendation from the township, and it still needs to be appointed by the municipality. According to the DDA ordinance, it shall be the board of directors of the corporation shall consist of the village president and 12 members.
Okay.
I have updated that on my master copy here. If everyone is comfortable with that being the language, I will clean this up.
So in essence, then the township would choose their person and recommend that person to you, and then you would recommend it then to your council to be appointed.
Correct, because there is no provision in the state law for a separate municipality to appoint to our development authority.
Right. You've just carved, the new bylaws carve out a seat specifically for them.
Correct.
And then there's a process for that person to get onto the board.
Correct.
And why not let them choose it, I guess, is the point. And then they would go to you and through you and to the council.
Right. Or whoever the president is at that time.
Yeah, that's true.
Who's talking?
Okay, so as the board, we don't have a vote on who we put on the board.
Correct.
I don't agree with that.
I guess.
It's state law.
Yeah, I guess. But Watson.
It's state law, and for a long time we haven't been doing that. If you guys haven't noticed, I'm a by the book kind of guy, and we need to ensure that all boards and commissions of the Village of Oxford are following all applicable state laws.
You mentioned earlier it'd be a good idea to get a comment from Bob. Would that be possible, Joe?
Sure, and if that's what you guys would like, we can, because I'd still like to move to get this on the next regular council meeting, so we're not holding up Mr. Knoll any longer than we need to. If it could be a motion conditional based on Bob's comment on that.
And Joe, this has nothing to do with you. This has everything to do with, I am a business owner in town, and if I have someone who I think would be a great asset to sit on the board that owns a business, I feel like we should have a voice. So I know it's not your law, it might be state law, but I don't agree with it.
Then call me and tell me who this person is, and we can vet them through the process. And there's a check and a balance here, right? The village president role has very few, what's the word, executive. This is one of the few. The appointment of Downtown Development Authority, ZBA, and Planning Commission commissioners and board members. There's a check and a balance, like in every form of government. The check and balance there is that I can make an appointment, but the council has to confirm that appointment. Does that make sense? So there's still to be a majority vote by the council. Some of it, and my strategy has been that I want people who are energetic. I want people who are going to be worker bees, so to speak, who are going to participate in committees. You know, we have too many politicians on here already, or at least we have in other iterations of the board. I want different perspectives. One of the reasons why I think Justin is a great fit is because Justin has a perspective on the downtown that none of us have or will ever understand. Laura is a resident and of the district, which is required by law, and she's a small business owner. So part of my strategy is, you know, looking to those who have business ties in the downtown. Of course, you know, some of this is you know, the bylaw update is because the township, frankly, has sort of demanded this. And that's fine, but that may or may not be our strategy in terms of like, who's gonna move the ball forward. Again, you know, you've got me, I'm a local elected official. We've got another elected official. You know, like how many elected officials do we really need on here when this board, you know, needs to be focused on, you know, the downtown and need to be focused on the whole of the downtown, not just individual businesses. But I'm starting to ramble and rant a little bit. I'm sorry, but you know, there is a the people I have chosen thus far, there has been a strategy behind that. You know, I'm not going to just throw anybody on there. So I'm happy to talk, you know, Sue, if you have somebody in mind, I'm happy to talk to you. I know Laura and I have talked about potential board members in the future. And if anybody has a potential board member who they think would you know, do well, you know, we can take a look at that. When these three were appointed, I ran these three names by Nicole and Glenn before I took them to council. So I am leaning on the executive director and the chair to assist in these decisions. But, you know, there needs to be some strategy behind it.
Okay.
Sorry, that got a little long-winded.
Just a quick comment, Joe. I think from the township aspect of it, the TIF plan or whatever collects close to $100,000 from the township taxes. So I think that's kind of why they want some representation on here.
Right, and I agree there should be some representation on there. There has been in the past, and you know, that's one of the reasons I think you're here, Pete, is to have representation to, you know, the fire department as well. So
yeah, because it's over 60,000 from us.
Yeah, it makes sense to build those collaborations and really a strong downtown, you know, rising tides float all ships, right? You know, a strong downtown means strong property values across the township, across the village. That means more money in the coffers for the library, more money in the coffers for, you know, the fire department, et cetera, et cetera.
So Joe, can we vote on it? Because you know me, and I'm all about ethics and doing everything the right way through the books as well. So I feel unethical if it's bylaws were actually that way. So can we vote on this today to try to get the process moving?
Yeah, that's my hope, is that, you know, Glenn has two possible motions here to adopt or deny or send back to the committee. If it passes, then we need to have a second motion to dissolve the committee. And again, that committee was myself, Glenn, Nicole Ellsworth, and Bob Davis.
But still, did you say that we can get an official opinion from Bob?
Well, you could still pass this with a conditional motion. I'm fairly certain that Bob's opinion is gonna say that the way we've been doing it complies with state law. He has not told me otherwise. Joe Medora, I don't know if you have any insight on that.
No, and I think Bob was part of this conversation, and I think if he saw something that didn't line up in the bylaws or the way it was being approached, he would have made that clear.
Was he asked that, Joe?
I can't specifically say I wasn't part of the committee, but I know when it first came up, he and I talked about moving forward to make this change, and trying to work with Joe and the township to make sure everyone got to a good spot and where we all wanted to be, and make sure that the process went smoothly without any unnecessary blow-ups or anything, I should say. But I specifically didn't ask him anything like that.
Well, I think what the question is that, you know, the board wants the authority in the bylaws to appoint their own. And the reality is that the village ordinance and the state law does not provide that. So, you know, if we're striving to get, you know, from 9 members to the 8, or the 12, which is in compliance with the local ordinance, then we need to, you know, we can't put something in our bylaws that goes counter to the ordinance and counter to state law.
Okay, so I have a different suggestion. Can we won't appoint them, you appoint them, but can we know everyone who puts in an application and give our opinion? You know, just be transparent.
Sure, and I have all the applications that have, you know, if there's a question about transparency, I have all of the applications that have been received. Glenn has copies of these as well as the village clerk. So, you know, what's the concern here? That I'm appointing people that the board doesn't agree with?
No, I know an application went in and she's just a rock star and she gets things done. Nobody ever contacted her.
And what's her name?
Debbie Mick.
Yeah, I have contacted Debbie Mick.
She does not live in the village, but she is works at the museum, is a rock star in this community. And she was told, I thought she was told that because she lives outside of the village, she can't put.
No.
No?
So here's my email to Miss Mick right here. Good evening. Thank you once again for your interest in serving on the Village of Oxford Downtown Authority. At this time, we've appointed another candidate. Your application will remain on file and be considered for future vacancies. And then I go on to explain the Main Street program. And I say, please consider getting involved in one of our volunteer committees. Your perspective would be an asset to downtown Oxford. If you are interested in serving on a committee, please contact Glenn Pape, who is copied here for your convenience. Thank you. So I have corresponded with her. You know, I think her tie was to the museum, and I again wanted to go with additional business owners. So I think we're getting a little off topic. You know, we could go through every application. I'm happy to do that with you, Sue, and with the board if we need to put it on as an agenda item. But the reality is that, like, I have a strategy as the chief elected official of the municipality, and that may not always align with individual strategies on the downtown board.
Comment? Nicole?
Yes.
In
Yes,
Article 9, under committees, section 2, it specifically says on there that anyone with an interest in the well-being of the community can serve on any of the committees. So there's no reason why she can't apply, or she can't just be on any of the committees. If she's a hard worker and wants to help, that's a perfect place for her on any of the committees.
It would get her done.
Which was my suggestion, you know. So, you know, ideally the committees are a training ground for the board. You know, Justin was on our promotions committee for a number of years before his board appointment. So it makes sense to jump in as a committee member and kind of get your start there. So so that's that to Debbie, and I need to follow up with her again. I'm happy to do so.
Well, Joe, in the interest of transparency, which Laura mentioned a few minutes ago, how do we know what applications you get? Are these something that you would provide every meeting or what?
Well, I have provided that to the executive director, and I provide that to the clerk as well. If you would like to see a list of those, I'm happy to provide that.
I think it'd be a good idea to send it out to the entire board. That's a great idea. I agree with you on that.
Sure.
Yes.
Well, the problem is then you get a list in the board, you know, in a public meeting, you have a list of people we didn't select, and not sure how that may play out with some of those folks, but happy to do so if there is an official request to do that.
Well, is that a motion type of issue or what?
Well, if you want it, I'll get you a list tomorrow morning.
Okay. Yeah, send it to the entire board. I think it'd be good because I think we had an issue with that a few months ago with lack of transparency.
Well, I don't think there was an issue with transparency. Again, I was being transparent to the executive director and the chairperson. Not everything has to go in front of the full board all the time. I will provide all the applications that we receive. But the reality is that per state law, the village president, whether that is me or Ms. Basardi in the past or somebody in the future, the village president has the authority to appoint to this board, the Planning Commission, and the Board of Zoning Appeals. And that should be afforded to that seat, that role.
How long would it take to get some kind of response from Bob Davis about the state legislation?
I could call Bob in the morning. I don't know how quickly he can turn around an opinion. Happy to call Bob in the morning.
It's quite clear in PA 57 of 2018 that it's an appointment of the chief executive officer of the municipality. So.
Nicole, can I speak?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, guys, sorry, it's 8 o'clock. Can we move on? I mean, again, I'm all about the law. And so if we can move forward, like Glenn just repeated the law, Joe repeated the law. If that's what it states in the law, can we move on and go on to the next thing? Again, it's 8 o'clock and I'm sorry, but I got things to do. But can we move on?
The question is, Laura, what is the law?
But that's what exactly they just explained, though. It's,
But as we
Joe
just said,
just
that's
went
what we
ahead
want
and
Bob
said
Davis
that.
to explain to us what the law is. That is the question. What is the law?
No answer?
No, the answer is PA 57 of 2018. I don't know why we're even going down this rabbit's hole of what is the law, what is this and that. The reality is the law says that the chief executive officer of a municipality has the authority to appoint. Simple as that. That's the law. It's village ordinance, which I'm pulling up. Law. So Mr. Davis is going to tell you the exact same thing that I am telling you right now. That is the chief executive officers. Again, this is way off topic because the reality is we're updating the bylaws, which at the last meeting, this board gave approval to do. This is the same shit that we do every month, is that you ask me to do something, I do it, and then the next meeting we revisit it and we change our minds again.
No, I think that you're asking us to approve the new bylaw. And our only question is, we're adding more members to the board. And does the board, I guess our only question is, the board doesn't have a say in who we put on the board. Now, that's okay. If it's state law, then it's a law. But I don't know. I'm just wondering, who are we going to put on the board? And do we not have a say? If we don't have a say, that's okay. If that's the state law, that's okay. But I was just wondering what that is. And Joe, I'm okay. If that's the state law, then...
And I've already said that I'm willing to have conversations with each and every one of you if you have suggestions, right? If you have a suggestion.
Yep. Okay. I'm good with that. I'm good
Call
with that.
another council member, put it in another council member's ear, because again, it's not just my appointment. It is appointed by the president, confirmed by the other 4 members on council.
Madam Chair, may I speak? This is Joe Madore.
Absolutely, Mr. Madore, go ahead.
Okay, so I pulled up the law, and the second sentence under section 204 says, members shall be appointed by the chief executive officer of the municipality, comma, subject to approval by the governing body of the municipality, period. So it seems pretty straightforward. I've never seen anybody look at it or contemplate doing it another way. Because it seems pretty, again, they're appointed subject to the approval by the governing body. Whether it's a township, city, or village does not matter. They're all treated the same.
Yeah, Nicole, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
And this has been the way, like, for all of us to get on here. I mean, this is not new. This is not revelation or change. You know what I mean? Like, we all went through this process. It's no different. And I've sat on this board for I don't know how many years, too many probably, but you know, it's no change. And my experience has been they come in front of the DDA board first, and we can recommend ones that we'd like to go on for Joe Frost and his group to approve. Is that not the case? That's what I recall the process being when I was brought on. Is you all, the DDA board gets to see them first and be like, okay, and then they go on to the village, correct?
Right. Correct. That has happened in the past, and
We didn't do that with them.
right, there's those of you who feel that has been transparent enough, but you recall when we had an appointment not too long ago, when I appointed Michelle Klein, the recommendation was to appoint Miss Sue Basardi. Sue is wonderful. Sue has the kindest heart, and she's involved in everything in the village, but she has been on the DDA many years. And so let's get new people in there. So going to be times when the strategy of the municipality and my strategy doesn't necessarily align with and that's fine as long as we're following state and local law. We can disagree on that. Again, you know, I feel like, you know, there's, you know, been acquisition. I can't even say it right now. You know, some of you have basically said that I was not transparent enough in that last process, but the reality is that I followed local and state law. If you feel that way, I am sorry that you feel that way. I will provide you each and every one of the applications came forth in this last round. We're doing this bylaw change per the discussion we had, and we could talk this to death, but Laura's right. It's after 8 o'clock. We all have better things to do. I'm happy to send all this back to the committee. If another committee, the org committee, which seems to be this quasi board in and of itself, wants to take a look at this, then they can take a look at this and bring it back. It's just going to kick the can for the township appointment another month or so.
Nicole?
Yes, sir.
I'm ready to make a motion to move this along. The only hesitation that I have is that we're changing the wording as far as the numbers and everything from what's being printed to us. So we actually don't have a clean copy of actually what we will be voting on. That's my only concern. Because we're changed the language in it.
Who is it?
The only thing I had changed was Mr. Medor had said that it still read 8. I changed that to 12.
Right, I agree. Like I said, but the copy that's in front of us says that it's comprised of, it was 9, it's slashed out, and it says 12, and then 8,
So
and 9.
You could make a motion to say that, you know, section 1 reads 12 of the DDA board members shall. That way it complies with what we needed to say.
So in essence, we're going to end up with 13, or we're going to end up with exactly 12?
We will end up with 12 and the village president.
That's 13, Joe.
So if it's 12 and the village president, then that makes 13.
Right, but if you read it, 12 members shall be appointed by the municipality. The remaining members shall be the village president and or his or her designee.
It doesn't make sense.
What doesn't make sense?
Is it 12 or 13? It looks like to me it should be 12.
It is 12 and the village president. So it says, I'll read it again. 12 of the DDA board members shall be appointed by the municipality. The Charter Township of Oxford may recommend 1. The remaining members shall be the village president.
And of the one that they recommend, they are one of the 12. So it's not in addition to 12.
Correct.
Okay.
And this comes right from the local, you know, ordinance. Ordinance number 321, Part 1, 4-26-05. The Board of Directors shall consist of the village president and 12 members. The idea here is that we could have changed the ordinance. That's a 3-month process. The bylaws is what, 4-week process? Not counting the last hour and a half discussion about it. Sorry, I'm getting feisty.
Aren't we all?
So if the only concern is that first sentence of Article 3, the sentence will now read, Section 1, the DDA board is comprised of 13 members. 12 of the DDA board members shall be appointed by the municipality. The remaining members shall be the chief executive village president of the village president of the municipality, or his or her designee from village council. Does anybody have any questions about that sentence?
Good to me.
All right. All of the other changes are grammatical or correcting the acts that we're going to. So if we could entertain a motion to say adopt as amended to 13 members, etc. I would be very comfortable saying that's a legitimate motion that we can act on tonight. And I would look into, tomorrow I will look into whether or not it has to go to village council, because I think just for our bylaws, we adopt our own bylaws and we don't have to have a council
I think it was in the
approval.
law. Yeah, double check that, Glenn, if you could. I thought it was in the village ordinance that it needed to go to council for.
Yeah, I'll look into that, but it's not in the act with regards to.
No, it's not in the act, but it's in the local ordinance.
I'll get with Terry tomorrow.
Sounds good. Take a note. It's section 22-21, adoption of bylaws.
Nicole or Joe, just to clarify one more time, because I'm confused by this. So what you're saying is exactly that we'll be changing it so that we will have 12 members plus the village president, making it 13. Is that correct?
There you go.
Yep.
All right, that's what I thought. That's why I thought I asked them. Okay.
I will set in a motion to accept that with these changes we just discussed.
I'll second it.
That's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Or do we do a roll call? What's that?
Do a roll call.
Call.
Okay, roll call.
Nicole Ellsworth,
No.
Dorothy Johnson,
Yes.
Joe Frost,
Yes.
Peter Schultz,
Yes.
Laura Hurthy,
Yes.
Rod Charles,
No.
Sue Olds,
Yes.
Laura Rolando,
Yes.
and Justin Wilcock. Yes.
Okay, it's been moved. Okay, we have the use of,
And Madam Chair, I make a
Yes.
motion to dissolve the bylaws committee.
okay, do we have to second that?
Yes.
Okay. I can't hear, did somebody second that?
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed? Okay, so we have new business, the use of public space for sales and dining.
Okay. Recently, the village council took up a recommendation that came out of Economic Vitality to allow for expanded use of public space for sales and dining. Mr. Medor, can you explain what the village passed?
Yeah, I'm looking at my council packet here and pull that up. Okay, let me get to that part. I had it up here, but my computer went to sleep or something.
Amen.
Not sure how that happened. All right. Expansion of existing outdoor seating for restaurants and other food establishments was the memo. And basically the recommendation from myself, which the council adopted, was to allow administrative approval for the expansion or addition of temporary outdoor seating at restaurants or food establishments in the village that meet the spirit of Section 4.1.45 of the Village of Oxford zoning ordinance as it relates to safety, state licensing requirements, county regulations, and insurance requirements in the ordinance. There's quite a process when someone wants to establish outdoor seating. Matter of fact, tomorrow night our planning commission will be taking up one for 74 North Washington, who's a new owner there looking for outdoor seating. That person is going to have to go through the normal process because they've never been approved. It's a brand new building. They're looking to expand the patio area out front and everything. What the spirit of this was to allow someone that already has it to maybe expand it because of the 50% capacity regulations with the executive order and such, that they may have to seat people outside of a normal area or expand it out a little farther. So that was the idea. We wanted to streamline it and not make it take 2 or 3 months for them to come and go through the planning commission and all of those hurdles. Obviously, and part of that recommendation was that they comply with all state licensing requirements, because many of them serve alcohol, and they will have to stay in good graces with the Liquor Control Commission. Insurance regulations come into play when they're operating in any public space, which is always the case in the outdoor dining process request. And we just want to be able to work with them relatively quick for something that meets the spirit of the section of that ordinance for allowing it, safety, and all of the above.
What's the name of that business, Joe? I don't know the address of the business.
74 North is with the old Hometown Plumbing just south of the bridge on the east side.
I was going to say so.
The proposed business, well, the business that's going to come, whether they get outdoor seating or not, it's called Gourmet, what is it, Gourmet Grills? He has a place downtown Fenton right now. Gourmet Guys Grill, I think it's called. I'm not sure what all they do. They have a place downtown Fenton currently. I don't know if that's their only one or not, but he purchased the building first of the year. And so that's coming before the Planning Commission tomorrow night for their outdoor seating request.
And they have a liquor license?
No, I don't think they plan on it. I think it's just a food establishment only. But they want outdoor seating, so they're going through that process through the Planning Commission. Homegrown approached me 2 or 3 weeks ago about somehow utilizing some space around their back patio area outside of the already fenced-in area. There's some space back there. We looked at how they could coordinate off and still comply with the spirit of the ordinance, to where it'll still be all on private property. So the insurance requirements, as far as the village is concerned, aren't an issue. Obviously, they were going to contact Liquor Control to ensure what they needed to comply with their rules. They are already able to sell, and like some other places downtown, take out liquor, those growlers, they call them, large beer bottles. So they can already sell, and someone can take alcohol off premise. But obviously, when they're serving on premise outdoors, it's a little different. We just got to make sure that they do everything properly. I think the TAP has talked to Glenn or others. I haven't talked to them directly myself, and maybe even Joe, about expanding their outside area a little bit. It's potentially possible that a couple of these may be into a little bit of space into the right-of-way area behind the building. So that's where it would insurance requirements and things for the village would come into play.
Weren't there some complaints previously, Joe, about Oh, I remember the previous business there, a hair salon, about some of the customers being harassed or something. I can't remember the details.
Over by the tap?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think parking on bike nights has been a little bit of an issue. I've never heard anything about them being harassed. I've heard about there was an outdoor catch basin. I think some of the outdoor mop water was dumped down the catch basin, perhaps, and it put off a little bit of a bad smell. I remember that complaint from some of the hair salon folks, but I don't recall any personal type ones that you might be referring to that myself.
No complaints about the motorcycle washing?
Nope. Until you said that, I wasn't aware of it.
Really? The girls in the bikinis out there washing motorcycles?
Oh, no, there was a special event application a couple of years ago where the Orion School, somebody from the Orion School cheerleaders or something did I remember that.
You all ought to come around on Thursday night because it was an every Thursday night occurrence.
Okay, well, if it's happening on public property, that's an issue.
Well, you're missing out, Joe.
Do they wash pickup trucks?
Good shot there, Rod.
Do you wash leader dogs?
Probably. So, again, I've not spoken to the owners of the tap at all regarding any expansion of theirs. I've heard it secondhand. I think Glenn has spoke to them. I think they've even talked to Mike Sowald, indicated that they may or may want to or may need to, based on the 50% capacity situation that some of the restaurants are dealing with. So for that reason, during this time frame, we thought it would be a good idea to at least expedite some of these temporary approvals to allow them to do a temporary expansion of their area, and try to do it without a 2-month process, because sometimes it's they get some information to us, and then it's too late to go on the planning commission until the next planning commission and things like that.
Well, Joe, with all due respect and all, not jesting, but what Dora brought up, or myself, that complaints we've had in the past have been some of the activities behind the tap.
Yeah.
I mean, the business owners there have not been happy with some of the things that have been going on.
Okay. Well, that sounds like an issue that was going on before this situation we're dealing with now for the COVID.
No, this was something that has nothing to do with COVID. It's more with, as Dora said, there's people out there that, there were some issues that business owners had with what they thought were inappropriate behaviors.
Okay.
Cole, can I speak for a second?
Yes.
Joe, I totally approve of this, only because all those businesses need to make money right now. And I actually was one of the people that went into TAP just when it opened up, and it was super packed. And I want to still go and enjoy it. And so I'm certain other citizens want to go in and enjoy and support. So I'm full force, want to support them. I don't want to see more businesses close down because of construction and COVID. I want to see these businesses do well, become successful, and stay here. So I totally support if we can go ahead and get these approved.
Well, Laura, no one's saying we want to close TAP. It was more some of the behaviors outside the building that some of the business owners were complaining about.
Right, but you just said those were before COVID. So this is a COVID issue and this is a construction issue. So I'm just wondering, can we move on? Because if those issues were already talked about and explained and dealt with, can we move on to what the issue is now? I'm looking at present issues.
It's more of an issue with the business owners. It has nothing to do with COVID. It was more of a behavior issue.
Okay, so to speaking of that, again, there's probably 7 or 8 potential downtown areas or that may be interested in expanding their outside seating. For instance, like I said, the new restaurant coming up to the north end, perhaps. I'm not sure. He doesn't plan on opening until towards the end of construction anyways. They're non-alcoholic serving. They might need to expand a little bit just to get by during this time frame. They may not, because they may not be available until after the time frame, but something like the homegrown, we want to look at those as a whole, and the council has already approved the process to be streamlined, and I think that's part of what this I don't know if it's a request exactly. I see it on the agenda here, or if it's just to get the DDA to buy in and understand and give guidance, perhaps. But the council's already granted some permission to try to expedite these administratively, as long as we follow the spirit of the ordinance. Other issues, whether it's that particular business or other businesses, could and should be and will be addressed for other activities that may be inappropriate, I should say.
Nobody pays attention.
Nicole, I think Chief Pete has his hand up. Sorry. I noticed
Oh, I
it.
can't. Yeah, I can't see Pete. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Pete.
All right, so as far as I understand, this is basically on here for informational because the village council already passed it and approved it. So I would make a motion to basically just receive and file this.
I may not last long on this board. And I don't know who she was.
Okay. Does somebody want to second that?
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and supported, and all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we're all set there. We have a Love Oxford fundraiser grant process.
As most of you remember, we were doing a fundraiser through Patronicity because we were going to be getting a matching award from Main Street, Oakland County for $4,000 if we raised $4,000. Right now, we have raised over $5,000, so we'll be getting the matching amount for that as well.
Who gets it, right?
Now, a couple of the questions that we have is what we want to look at is right now we're somewhere between 9,000 and 10,000 based on what we got in over the weekend and today. I did spend quite a bit of time looking through our TIF plan, trying to find language that would allow the DDA to put some money into there. And into the economic revitalization, it does have a couple of objectives that can be considered part of our development plan, which is part of our TIF plan, so that we can put some of our DDA money into that to bring this up to like $11,000 or $12,000 in total to then give to businesses that we can then decide who we get the awards from. If you look at the memo under 9B, you'll see some of the example scoring metrics. What I'd like to do is twofold.
We can't see anything, Joe, or Glenn.
All right, I'll pull it up. I'll pull up the packet and we can all see it. Get past this.
I saw it.
And it's the outdoor dining. There we go. So twofold, what I'm looking at is do we want to bring this award up to say $11,000 or $12,000 for this entire fundraiser by putting in some matching money from the DDA? And then secondly, what we need to decide or assign a subcommittee to get together in the next day or two to go through the scoring matrix and to decide on an award amount, whether that's $500 per business or $1,000 per business or $1,500 per business. So you can see the basically some basic 9 scoring matrix. Reward businesses that have been here longer, reward businesses that have that zone of where we want to see the number of employees.
I will be frank.
So we're looking at, do these support our core industries in town, which are restaurants, women's personal care, and home life retail. So we're looking at this as a starting point of a scoring matrix. The other ones scoring would be proximity to other grant applicants, proximity to other businesses that have received Oakland County stabilization grants, things of that nature. So it's a discussion item for you folks to decide whether you want to add some DDA money and whether you want to decide on the amount of the awards tonight.
So if we add, Glenn, if we add DDA money, you're saying that has a multiplier effect, is that correct?
No, we've already matched for the Main Street Oakland County. It would just be putting some money into this same fundraiser above and beyond what we've spent on the signs. So,
Glenn, I think if there's a way for us to kind of build our volunteer base through this, maybe make that part of them getting the money is that they have to volunteer with the DDA a little bit. That may help us kind of bring everybody together and get more participation that we're looking for.
That's a great idea, Nicole. I think that just giving money away is, it's like the people that get money and don't do anything with it. I think if we had some kind of a quid pro quo, that'd be appropriate.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll second that.
Mm-hmm. We second that.
What kind of ideas would you want them to do? Like some kind of a volunteer at the concerts or something like that, or the
or
soup
sit
and
on a
sweets roll?
committee. Sit on a committee. Volunteer their time just so we can try to get people working together a little bit more. I think we have a hard time bringing the businesses in to participate and stuff. This may help. If they actually see us doing something, they may want to get involved,
Right. But what would it be, just besides being on a committee?
I would think volunteer at the events, sit on the committee, just get involved with the things that all of us do. I mean, we're constantly looking to build our volunteer base, and we have a problem getting the businesses to do that. This may be an incentive for them to do that moving forward.
I'm going to have to disagree with all of you, but that seems to be the mode for the evening. This is stimulus. This is a pandemic. And this is to ensure that businesses can stay afloat. We're not going to put those, conditions on that. It sounds great, but the reality is that business owners are already working overtime to keep their businesses afloat. We're not going to ask them to now, come volunteer.
I mean, I'm saying like 5 hours a year, something to just get them involved to, get our volunteer business going.
I agree with you. We need to continue to build our volunteer core, but I don't think a stimulus in response to a pandemic and road construction is the opportunity to do it. But I agree with you. We need to get more volunteers. 100% agree.
I think if the DDA is kicking in more money, then yes. If they're not, and it is just.
But we don't require that for facade grants. The county didn't require that for their stimulus. We shouldn't, because that basically says if you're involved, you can partake in this. It's for the entire district, whether or not people are involved or not.
That's not true, Joe. The fact is that people are paying for their signs. We're only paying in part of it. It's the same concept. When we have a sign grant, we're not paying the whole sign. We're paying part of it.
That's right. Yeah, and the facade grant, they're paying part of it too. You're right.
Correct. So it's the same idea of having some skin in the game.
But that's very different than requiring volunteer hours.
Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be a volunteer. It might be showing that there's some community activity that would lend itself to.
Yeah, having a business in a community is community activity.
I mean, it could be, that's what I'm saying. That's why I said, Nicole, what are some things besides being on a committee? Because not everybody wants to sit on committees. I mean, maybe that's an idea that we can come up with is somebody does something that would be It could be the, like I said, concerts in the park. Maybe they encourage participation, or they provide something above and beyond.
Madam
It doesn't
Chair.
have to be something that's going to suck up their time. Time is precious, everybody's busier than everybody else. That's the rule of life.
Dorothy?
So my question would be is how long are we going to hold on to this money then? I guess I thought this money was going to go out now when businesses need it. But if we're going to have to require hours, what is the end time frame then? Then we'll write you a check. You know what I mean? Like,
I wouldn't think that they would have to meet the requirement for getting it, but just like a, promissory in the next year, they'll do 5 volunteer hours, anything to get them involved in very minor stuff. But I mean, we need something that's going to get people working together again. And I just thought what better way than, this than to get people back working together.
Well, would you consider something like Soup and Sweet to be part of that, Nicole, or
any DDA event? I mean, even if they wanted to, help with the tent or put something out. I mean, there's a lot of businesses that don't even participate in a lot of things.
Can I talk for a second?
Sure.
I like your idea a lot, actually. I totally agree with your idea. And I don't think 5 hours is a lot to ask for if you're getting grant money. And I don't know if it's the DDA that does that Christmas parade, but I think that's fantastic. And I think a lot of the business should get involved with that. And to me, I just think that if a business gets involved, it's free advertisement for them anyways. So I'm all for what you said.
Nicole, I have a question, or
Yes.
I'd like to speak.
Of course.
This is Joe Medor. I understand the spirit of this, and I think the spirit is well intended, but I think if that's something you want to do, again, to Dorothy's point, maybe you want to set that aside and do that at a separate location, a time frame, and say, get these grants out to the people now. If you want to set up a program for rewarding people for coming on, then maybe keep it separate. I add in a contingency, we'll give you money if, I think is kind of, I don't know, kind of fraught with danger, I guess, to some degree. Almost like requiring them to do something
It's a
to get that money.
lawsuit waiting to happen is what it is. It's a lawsuit waiting to happen.
If you want to issue some kind of grant thing, or I think a friendly ask, hey, you know, your business is great. We'd like to help. Here's $500, but we would really like is to have you participate more. And here's ways you could do it. I think outreach along with it is about the extent of what you should do. I don't know about adding your contingent upon.
Yeah.
How much money are we talking about on this, Glenn?
Right now, we're just under $10,000. If we took the money that we didn't spend on the Main Street conference this year and throw it into this program, you'd be at like $12,000.
Would it make sense, let me ask the group here, would it make sense to do a co-op advertisement? I mean, I agree with Joe Frost in the sense that, and Joe Medor, I'll agree with both the Joes, how's that? That we could create some issues, some unintended consequences if we're not careful. So I wonder if something like a co-op advertisement might be appropriate. Maybe that would be enough to smooth it over so that people could say they could participate without feeling obligated or discriminated against.
How was this billed on, in the campaign on this, what was the language that was used? Was it used that this was going to be a grant to businesses, or was it in some other fashion?
This was originally intended as financial assistance for the business in terms of a grant.
And Glenn, you have right in there that the priority would be given to businesses that weren't able to get funding either through the state or federal grants.
Right, and some of you received funding through the state and federal grants, and you didn't have to do volunteer hours to get those.
Well, we could do, it doesn't have to be the same program though. If we have this money free, it's not encumbered by the previous program. We have money that we can use to co-op something. It doesn't have to be the same criteria. This could be completely separate.
Yeah. And Glenn's offered some good options on that criteria, I think, that you guys could weigh in on and choose which ones you want to utilize and give more weight to. But for instance, I know, and Joe Frost knows, and probably many of you know, there are people around town that were on and involved in a DDA years ago who will not be again. So knowing they won't be again, does that preclude them from being a beneficiary of this. So again, that's that sticky mess I think you want to stay out of.
Well, then let's make it, if we do something, let's make it a separate program to alleviate, the concerns that Joe Frost has, as well as what Joe Medor brought up. Maybe this is something unrelated to the existing plan.
Yeah, if you want to put a couple grand up, maybe do it in a separate program, like you mentioned, Ron, an advertising that includes all or promotes the whole.
Yeah.
In addition to the 11,000 that's already going to be given away. But I think you have to figure out how best to give that 11,000 or 10,000, whatever it was, away. And I think that's something that you try to work on in a short term. What do you do? How do you score it? Who do you want to include? Who do you want to say has already benefited in one way or another, if you want to decide that or not? That's up to you.
Okay, I've pulled up the patronicity page, and about 2/3 of the way down, it says, we're crowdfunding this to raise money for micro grants to help businesses out that have not received state or county aid. So.
Well, there's your list. I mean, the list is the list that you and I think Joe Medor and others have already looked at, right? Look at that list. If they didn't get funding, then that's who gets funding. I mean, this is a good matrix that you've provided. I don't make it.
Yeah.
The past 3 months have been hard enough on our businesses. So let's put this money in the pockets of our small businesses as it was intended, as the donors intended, and they can use it for rent. They can use it for keeping the lights on. Let's make that happen. Our small businesses are the heart of this community, and if we mess this up, we're messing with everybody's business.
Nicole,
Yes.
in reading what Glenn had just put up there and everything, what this is intended for, we've got roughly $9,100 right here. I would make a motion that this $9,100 goes to those businesses that were not funded, again, as it said on the list of what it was for, and that this money goes to those businesses as a small micro grant.
I'll second that.
Been moved, seconded. We do need to do roll call for this.
How about a little discussion, if I may?
Okay,
Yeah.
sure.
Pete, would you like to condition that at all? Not condition it, but give an amount, a $500 amount, or do you want to tier it? A 1 or 2 person operation gets 500, or 10-person operation gets 1,000. I think there's some variables there that I'm not saying you have to nail them down. If you want to leave them up to administration, that's fine. But if you want to,
my question is, I guess, without knowing 100% of the particulars, I mean, I don't know how many people are still on that list. Is it, 50 businesses, or is it only 10 businesses? I don't know that matrix. And at the same time, we're talking only the DDA district, from what I understand, right?
Correct.
And how many businesses are still hanging out there, Glenn?
We we funded through the Oakland County Stabilization. We funded every application on M24, which came out to about 75 grants.
I did not receive one,
No.
and I'm on M24.
Yes, but you didn't apply as Johnston Photography. I went and checked on that. From what I got from the camp.
Glenn, you're saying this would be for people that have already been accepted?
The original intent behind this was to generate money to get to businesses that did not get Payroll Protection Act money or the Oakland County Stabilization grants.
Okay.
Those would be exclusionary decisions.
Okay.
And so
You didn't apply.
So this money here would be for those who didn't get that money here, or it could be somebody brand new that hasn't applied for anything yet. Is that right?
correct.
So Glenn,
Board?
if we haven't
Excuse me,
received
board?
any monies, are we on that list?
I heard two people at one time. I'm sorry.
This is Sue. Sorry, this is Sue.
Yes.
If we have applied but have not received any monies, are we on that list?
I have the list of everybody who was awarded. I've added your name to the list of people who are on that list to investigate why you haven't gotten any contacts from Oakland County.
Okay, thank you.
Will you accept comment from the public? Will you accept comment from the public?
We have extended public comment coming up, or can we now?
We can accept public comment at this point.
Okay.
Yes or no? I can't understand.
Yes, you can.
This is Jonathan Knoll. I've been listening to the meeting.
Okay.
I think you need to look at this grant from the perspective of the people giving the money for the grant. What did they give it for? You had some guidelines that you collected the money. You need to operate your gifting according to how you gathered that money.
Agree.
That's what my motion stated.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with Mr. Knoll. I think Pete has a motion that's been supported, so there's a motion on the table.
Okay, yeah, and I did ask if we need to do a roll call or because it's money.
It's allocation of money in funds, so
Okay,
it should be a roll call.
Nicole Ellsworth,
Yes.
Joe Frost,
Yes.
Dorothy Johnson,
Yes.
Peter Schultz,
Yes.
Laura Herfy,
Yes.
Charles,
Yes.
Sue Olth,
Yes.
Dora Rolando,
Yes.
and Justin Wilcock, yes.
Madam Chair, before we leave this item, can I get direction from the board to identify the list of businesses that did not receive funding from Oakland County, or should I just put out an email out a application form that has those questions so that we can then allocate those funds?
Do you have a ballpark number of how many who did not get it?
Of those who would meet the qualifications in our scoring, the scoring matrix that I put together, there'd be roughly about 40 businesses I'm looking at that could be eligible.
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
So maybe around 500 apiece.
So
I'm sorry, 250.
it'd be roughly 250, but I know some of those businesses that did not get funded didn't apply, and I don't know that they would be interested in applying, but
Got that right.
so I'd be looking for a direction of saying creating grant program of an amount of $500 and putting together a scoring application that we can get out by Wednesday so that we can get turnaround in 48 hours.
That would be my motion.
Just while no one is speaking, I'm going to say that I know Glenn worked through that process with the county extensively, was very involved, is very familiar with that type of a process and that type of a scoring. And I firmly believe that he'd be able to put something like this together and it'd be fair and equitable and something you guys could be confident that was handled properly.
That was my motion. I support that.
Yeah, I go with that too.
Okay, do we need a roll call vote for that or a motion?
Just a motion should work for that.
That's so interesting.
So
All in
is some,
favor?
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? Okay, and then to the Friday with Friends retail promotion.
I'm going to turn this over to Nicole Edwards and Sue Oles to talk about this, since they've been part of the driving force behind this, but this is the concept to create a Friday night event in downtown Oxford running from June 26th to August 28th.
Go ahead, Nicole.
So this is part of the Economic Vitality Committee that met a couple weeks ago. There's an idea that came out of that. And I met with Sue and Kelly twice and just worked out some of the details for the Friday nights with friends. So it would be from 5 until 8. There'd be a $50 weekly raffle and Facebook. We'd be promoting it through Facebook. Glenn, I sent over in my communications report an image in there that had, it actually had the back of Victoria's, so we would be images of downtown businesses to encourage, through the advertising portion of it. So you want to take it from there?
We have been in contact with a lot of the businesses, and everybody that we have talked to is on board. They're going to keep their doors open, and they're excited about it. So I think it's drumming up some positive. Nicole and Kelly have been working hard on this, and thanks, Nicole. Came up with some great slogans. So we are excited.
Sounds like fun, Nicole. Good idea.
Hey, Glenn, you said that there's some promotions committee money that can go towards this?
Yes, we've canceled 3 of our events for M24 promotions, and so we've got some of that money left.
Awesome.
I've temporarily budgeted $1,000 for this. That would be for the weekly gift card. It would be for Facebook advertising, and I'd like to spend, $500-700 on shopping bags for retailers to hand out, just to help promote shopping in downtown Oxford.
One of the things that came up in the conversation between Sue, Kelly, and I is the possibility of this being a joint event with the Chamber of Commerce. And I believe we need board approval for that.
Is Chamber of Commerce going to be putting up the same amount of money towards it?
I can ask her. I haven't had any conversation with Amy about it yet because I wanted to make sure that, we talked about it here first.
I guess the question is, what does a joint effort mean? Right, Pete?
Exactly. I mean, just to add if we're putting up the $1,000 and they're just adding their name, then I would say no.
Okay. So, I mean, if they're willing to put up $1,000, then yes, or what? I guess sure. I'm looking for direction from the board.
Are you talking 50-50, where we split it 50-50 with the chamber?
The extent of the conversation was, let's have it, let's consider it being a joint event with the chamber. And we didn't get any deeper into that because I knew that we needed to talk to you about it.
So the concept would be, per what Pete said, is I think it's a great idea as long as it's a 50-50 all the way around.
Okay, I can approach her on that.
Can I ask a question, guys?
Yes.
Thanks, Nicole. There are obviously a lot of businesses that, I get the weeklies from the chamber. I'm also on the board for the chamber. And I know the chamber is hurting right now. And I know that there's a lot of people that did not renew because of what happened with COVID and now with construction. So I can personally tell you the chamber is really hurting. But at the same time, I can tell you that Amy promotes like no tomorrow. And I know that she reaches over like 2,000 businesses. So what my theory on it is, you may not even have to pay for Facebook because of how many people she's connected with, that money that you're paying for Facebook, that could be her contribution. Just saying, I'm just throwing it out there on the business aspect of things. And we're not here to just compare apples to apples. This is the DDA's given us money. This was Economic Vitality Group that brought this up. And I think what they did with this, with what Nicole and Sue did with this was fantastic because they are trying to help all businesses. And so being here with the DDA and hearing what you guys have to say, and then also being on the board for the chamber and hearing what they have to say, I know that they're 100% have the back of the DDA no matter what. But I don't necessarily think that it should be a contributional match if they don't have it. No way, we're not going to go with it. They'll advertise the shit out of it for you for free. So I think that should be sufficient enough. And I know that they'd be willing to help any which way possible as well if they didn't have the value and the funds for it. So I'm just throwing it out there that I don't think it should be, let's make this into a strictly DDA. Well, what happened to the Economic Vitality Group? That this was their idea to begin with. So I think we need to come together as a community and work together as a community. It's the only way we're going to be successful. That's all I have to say.
Nicole, may I? Joe Madore?
Of course. Yes, Joe, go ahead.
One other thing that came up that and Glenn mentioned the ways to promote it. I got approval from MDOT and council approved an amendment or a pause in our ordinance about the signages, prohibited signs in the village. And one of those prohibitions over the last couple of years has been banners on the Pollyant Trail Bridge. So that has been waived. MDOT has given us approval. So we will be able to put banners up on the Pollyant Trail Bridge for promotional type purposes such as this event. And I think even Nicole or Sue Olds, one of them had mentioned that perhaps the first banner to go up might be one regarding this event. They're able to go up for a number of weeks, but then they have to come down for a week or two, they say, and then go back up. Just the cost of the banners is all we'll have. There's no cost in the permitting process for the MDOT. It's just a process I have to go to in their online permit process, similar for parades. But whatever shakes out, or whether this promotion is, or even an additional promotion farther into the year, that option is available. But there will be a cost for a banner.
Do you think, though, that that's worth it this year with just the one lane going southbound? Would that be the only people that would be able to see the banner? Should we look into something maybe on the detour route for that?
Perhaps a good promotional items for this specific event might be okay on the detour route also. I know we're in the process of getting those signs on the detour route listing business names. But as a lot of people still come southbound through there in the morning and during the day still, yeah, we only have one side to contend with, but that we only have to buy one banner instead of two, I guess, would be the upside.
Sure.
Joe, I think banner-wise, if you do two banners, you put one up on the bridge for all southbound traffic, and then another just as big over on Glassby Street, but put it on the village property right there by Scripter Park, is where the other sign could go, which would catch all your northbound traffic. And that would be equal as far as, be able to catch everybody north and south.
Yeah, that's a good location. It's pretty wide open. It'd be easy to see for sure.
Right.
I guess part of the question that's come up a little bit earlier with the chamber and the DDA is, what does it mean to partner up? I mean, what do they consider working with us? I mean, promoting it on their end is helpful. I mean, do they want, their name on a banner somewhere or name on the promotional items going out? I don't know what all they're looking for to be, quote unquote, a partner in this. I agree with Laura that we all should be pulling together and helping everyone any which way we can.
I think it was just, yeah, I think it was just Kelly and I were thinking that the DDA and the chamber just, you know, I guess just looks good as a community, both groups pulling together. So we didn't take it any further than that. We were just trying, and we have reached out to every one of the restaurants, every one of the businesses on 24. Kelly and I have just done our legwork and just try and bring the community together through the road construction. We don't want to see a business fail. So if you want to be part of the Girlfriends, Shop with Girlfriends, we want you to be included. That's, you know, we weren't looking at any dollar amounts. We were just looking at, let's get everybody involved and let's make this run through this road construction. We came off of 3 really hard months, and now we're walking into road construction. Well, you know, I keep saying, what was God thinking? Come on. So we're just trying to survive. And we're trying our hearts are in this, guys. We want to help these businesses. We've been in this community for 35 years, and I've been on 24 for 9. I do not want to fail.
And keep in mind, the DDA gets, I don't know, what's your budget, Glenn? A couple $100,000 a year provided to it, whereas the chamber, it's only supported by their members writing checks, which are your fellow small business folks. Yes, some are in the village, and maybe most are not. But again, their membership is hurting, and that was spoken to earlier, because that's their money they're having to fess up and hand out. So it's pretty obvious to me that they would not be in the same position as the DDA funding-wise.
I know for a fact we're not, by the way, guys. Sorry, excuse me for just speaking out. I know for a fact I'm on the board there. I know I'm in all the meetings. We're hurting. And we're hurting. Amy's doing, she's busted her butt off to try to help every business. We didn't get a PPA loan. We didn't get nothing. It's just a nonprofit organization. And so I know she would help. And again, Sue, I applaud what you've done. I love the idea. And you know that I'm also with her on the Economic Vitality Group. And I think it's fantastic. So please, guys, let's just work together. So I want to approve that. Let Amy come aboard.
And Laura, as a business owner, okay, I have had to cut everywhere I could to try to survive. So you're absolutely right. If somebody feels like the chamber, if they can cut that 180 from their budget, they're going to do it, because we're all trying to survive.
Amen. So can we please still approve for the chamber to be a part of this regardless of $1,000? Because I'm taking offense to it and I shouldn't, but I am, because I know where they're at. It shouldn't be a money. It should be, let's get together. DDA has funds. Chamber doesn't have funds, but let them get involved, because I know they'll help. So can we approve for that? Can we do that today?
How much money does the chamber have, Laura?
I mean, I don't know exactly the exact amounts. I don't have anything in front of me, but again, as you know, we're a membership only organization. And there's a lot of businesses that Amy has been trying to chase after them that haven't paid their, they're way overdue. And they're not even answering her phone calls or anything. And it's not her fault, and she gets it, and it's stressful where people are. And just like what Sue just said, it's stressful. So let's just do this and be done with it, and like help each other. That's all I care about, is let's make this a better community.
So Laura, how many people does Chamber of Commerce reach?
I'm sorry?
How many people does the Chamber of Commerce reach?
So I know that her emails go out to 2,000 businesses. So she's reaching a whole bunch. She'll tell you about it's enormous amounts. I don't even have social media, but I get just an email to my personal email and to my business email as to every week she sends out an email, updates with everything. What's going on? Whoever is a member, if they need employees. She has all the businesses that are members. If they're open, she has them promoted. She's constantly reporting, that is updated constantly. So they're on it. So I don't have the exact numbers of everything, but I know that it's either her Facebook or something. There's already 2,000 businesses that are followers. She's very well connected, very well connected.
I've been in this community.
My question is, when you're wanting us to work together, what do you want the chamber, like Joe said, is it just putting their name on a banner, or what are you asking for?
I doubt that Amy would even care to put her name on the banner. If you guys want to work together with her, then just work together with her. That's all I'm saying. She's supposed to be on this board too. The chamber and the DDA are supposed to be hand in hand regardless. This isn't a who's better than who. This is a nonprofit organization that's here to support the businesses of the city. So
I think that what would be fantastic, if I can just interject, Laura, I think it would be great if the chamber was able to email out to their list and promote on social media. And I think it would be fantastic if Amy would be able to, you know, continue to encourage businesses to participate in it, to do some of the outreach, some of the legwork. I know that Sue and Kelly have spent a lot of time on it, but I know that Amy has a lot of really good relationships as well. You know, I think that she would do a fantastic job just promoting the event. She might not be able to put dollars behind it, but I think as a person and as a workhorse, and I have a better word to say it, I think that she would do a phenomenal job promoting our community because she consistently does that.
And as you know, Nicole, yourself, the videos that you have, she's taken them and put them on the chamber website. So she takes your videos too and puts them on there, and they're the DDA videos.
Yeah, she shares all of our stuff regularly, you know, and promotes our community. And, you know, I would just like to see her as a partner in it. And if it means throwing her name on a banner, then great.
Thank you. And I appreciate that and I respect that. So can we get a vote for that?
Or do we need, or do you guys?
Do we need a vote for that, or can we move on?
Probably bottom line, guys, is the community as a whole will look and say, oh, the DDA and the chamber are working together. That's going to go miles.
Amen.
I think it's a good idea. Kudos to Sue and Kelly for taking the lead on this. You know, the Economic Vitality Committee is really rocking and rolling. We haven't met, we didn't meet this week, didn't meet last week because we didn't really need to, gearing up for transformation strategies with National Main Street. But I make a motion to approve the Friday with Friends in Oxford with the amount of $1,000 to be contributed from the DDA, with Nicole Edwards and Glenn Pape working to secure a partnership with the chamber to co-sponsor it.
I will second that.
Whoever.
Okay, can we get roll call, please?
Yep. Ellsworth,
Yes.
Joe Frost,
Yes.
Dorothy Johnson,
Yes.
Peter Schultz,
Yes.
Laura Herpy,
Yes.
Rod Charles,
Yes.
Sue Olds,
Yep.
Dora Rolando,
Yes.
and Justin Wilcock, yes.
Okay, motion passes. Do I have any items that were moved from the consent agenda?
No.
Okay, then I guess we can move on to the board member comments. Who would like to start? Should we just start with Dorothy?
Yep, I'll start.
Okay.
So just want to thank Joe Frost and Nicole for the video that they put together, you know, to promote this initiative for the small business grants. I know it's appreciative. Any little amount, especially for those that didn't get any, is greatly appreciated. So thanks, you guys, and thanks for letting me be a part of it. That's all I got.
Dorothy.
Hey, Pete.
No comment.
Okay, Sue Olds.
I know it was a lengthy meeting, but I think we got a lot accomplished. I think as a community through this road construction, we are going to pull together and we're going to survive.
Thank you, Sue. Rod?
Nope.
Joe Frost?
Check your emails. The list of the applications you requested a few moments ago are there. If you have any questions, let me know. Kudos again to Sue and Kelly for stepping up and really running with this event.
Hey, Rod.
Exciting. Other than that, you know, let's stay Oxford strong. Dorothy, thank you for the pictures. It was a great video.
Okay, Dora?
Well, guys, I think the Friday night thing's going to be a lot of fun, and well, I think that we've got a lot of participation. I've talked to our quadrant back there, and they're all gung ho. So let's go.
Okay, thank you. Justin?
No comment.
Hey, Laura, do you have a comment?
No.
Okay, I just want to thank everybody. Thank you, Sue, for getting that together. I think that Friday with Friends is going to be fun. I also wanted to let everyone know that I've gotten with the homeowners association at Oxford Lakes that was having the food trucks. And we're going to highlight some Oxford restaurants there on July 12th. That's a Sunday. And hopefully some of you can stop by and see us over there. Do we have any extended public comment?
Yes, can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
This is Sue Bizzardi, and when you guys made the motion to do the DDA bylaws, there was nothing in the motion that I heard that indicated that the township would have a seat on the board. Like it had that in there that they may appoint somebody. That was totally left off. So in the future, if you have a different president or you have a different board, they do not, the way I heard the motion read was that they do not have to have a township rep on the board because it did not state that in the bylaws.
That's in the bylaws.
What's in the bylaws that they have a seat on the thing, but you didn't put it in that they would be members, a member.
That's in section 3 of the bylaws.
Yep. As a voting member.
Section is in section 3. Because I'm looking at it.
Article 3, section 1, comprised of 13 members, 12 of the DDA board members. The Charter Township may recommend one member from the township board.
No, when you read the motion, Glenn, that sentence was left out. Go back if you're taping this meeting, go back. That section was left out. And I would have brought it to everybody's attention, except you mute everybody and you can't say anything. So I do not believe that that sentence was there because I sat right with my copy and read what you were saying.
That sentence has been in this updated draft for the better part of 3 weeks, so.
I know, but Joe, when Pete made the motion, that sentence was not.
Right, because he was a member that stated 9. We don't, when we do the motion, as you know, we don't have to verbatim read the entire document. It was an approval of the document with the condition that the error of 9 gets corrected to the number that was stated in the motion.
Well,
Correct.
I'm going to disagree with you because Glenn read a motion and that sentence was not in there.
Well,
So,
there's three pages. Do we need to read all 3 pages for the motion?
no, I'm stating simply section 1.
He was only clarifying one part he was clarifying.
I'm just saying that I think it needs to be clarified. That's my humble opinion.
We can check the recording tomorrow, but I was not reading a motion at that point in time. I was reading a sentence. So, but I will double check it.
Motion off your sentence, Glenn.
Clarification of numbers.
Make the motion to adjourn.
Okay, do I have a second?
Yeah,
I'll support that.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 You guys, good night.
Good night.
Night.